Now, you don't need to watch this video to the end if you don't want any updates on my reviews, but if you do, I'm going to have that at the end of this video. But, let's talk about Phineas and Ferb, Mission Marvel. I told you I'm going to check out more Phineas and Ferb stuff, so expect review of Take 2, Across the Second Dimension, the series coming in the near future. Probably Take 2 will be next, considering there's only like 10 of those, and they're each 10 minutes long. I like the Phineas and Ferb Star Wars crossover, if you saw my review of that. I thought it was great for a Star Wars fan, being one myself. They, the writers clearly had a love for Star Wars. Also, it being a non-canon, just goofy adventure makes it easier to adjust to the fact that they're in Star Wars, and these aren't characters that technically would work very well in Star Wars, but it's easier to adjust to that fact. This is not like that. The plot of this special is that Dr. Doofenshmirtz, the kind of evil scientist of the show, shoots the superheroes and they lose their powers. So you got Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, and I think that's it. Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and Spider-Man. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Which is already a weird combination, right? Because Spider-Man, okay, get it. It's a kids show. Kids love Spider-Man. Everybody loves Spider-Man. That one it's still kind of weird that they didn't do all the Avengers, but it's just a weird combination for characters, because I remember when this came out, Avengers Age of Ultron, I believe, had come out that year, and everybody loves the Avengers. Everybody was talking about them, and it was weird when this crossover came out and there's no Captain America. But there's Spider-Man, who's not in the movies. And it's also weird because there are even the list of villains in this are really weird. Red Skull, no Captain America, but you got Red Skull, MODOK, MODOK, you got Venom, which is a Spider-Man villain. MODOK and Venom are related to two characters, and then you also have Whiplash, which he's here. Whiplash isn't really a popular character at all, and so and what that list of villains tells me that there was not a love for Marvel. This was probably a Disney thing that said, hey, we need you to make a special, you can use one of our properties, we would prefer Marvel do that. And then they're like, okay, fine, if you're just going to make us do it, we'll do it, but we're not going to be happy about it. That's what this feels like. It does not feel like Marvel. It feels like Phineas and Ferb. It was really stupid how people thought, Disney's ruining the brand of Marvel because they're crossing over Phineas and Ferb. It's not going to ruin the brand. It's just a stupid crossover that is meh. And there's this forced feminist message thing in here where, Phineas acts uncharacteristically mean to Candace for screwing up. Candace hasn't screwed up in the show before in episodes and in the movie. And so he's uncharacteristically mean to her because she screws up, and then they have to come in and save the day. It's like, why didn't you just write it till they save the day? Why did you need to write all that other crap? There's a whole song about it. There's this whole thing about how all the men heroes showed up, and now the women heroes showed up, so all the women are being sidelined. It's like, what? It's so stupid. It's just stupid writing. It doesn't do anything. It's forced conflict for no reason. There was enough going on in the special that you really didn't need any of that crap. You could have cut that about 5 minutes out of this crossover of just that nonsense. For 5-10 minutes, something like that. It was just really bad. I don't know why it was here. And I think everybody who's seen this crossover and has any problems with it, that is their problem with this special, is that stupid subplot that has no business being here. It doesn't even make sense with the characters of the show. But like, why this crossover just doesn't work for me is clearly they know some information about Marvel, but they're making more jokes with the Phineas and Ferb characters than they are with the Marvel characters. They're barely using the Marvel characters here. With the Star Wars one, they were making tons of jokes that only work with Star Wars. And with this, it's like, okay, you have these characters, but you're not really using them. You're not using them to be a comedy. You know, because Phineas and Ferb is primarily a comedy, and so they're not using the characters very much in that context. They're not making any jokes that only work for those characters. Like, you think about the one about Candace being a nerd for the superheroes and stuff. Like, that's not a joke to point out, hey, there's comic book fans and we're making a joke about this. That's a joke that works with that specific character in the series of Phineas and Ferb. And also just the weird fact that the superheroes are here and they're here and they're making these jokes, but it's kind of weird that they're in the universe of Phineas and Ferb, because, well, I mean, there's been weird events within the show that you would think, like, superheroes would show up. Like, I guess across the second dimension, maybe, like, you know, you think in this whole town, when you got giant robots flying across the world, you know, they freaking fought Ultron, right? You think the Avengers would show up, but I don't know. It just seems a little weird to me. I can excuse that, but it's just a thing worth pointing out. But yeah, I mean, there's some jokes I enjoyed. I like how, like, when Perry the platypus, you know, he shows up and in like a superhero costume, they're all like, who is that guy? Do you think he's Howard the Duck? And then you know, Iron Man was saying something and he stops when Spider-Man says that. And he's like, no, it's not Howard the Duck. Like, he just pauses. And I thought that was really funny. I find it so weird that we've gotten so many references to Howard the Duck. It's like, just make a Howard the Duck movie or TV show already. Stop mentioning this character and doing nothing with him. I know that one George Lucas directed was horrible, but like, just make a Howard the Duck movie already and stop referencing the character. I love Howard the Duck. I don't know. I love him. But I feel like that we need to stop with the jokes about Howard the Duck and just actually, you know, use the character. I know they were gonna do like a Hulu exclusive show called The Offenders, and they were gonna, you know, have it be rated R. Which, if you know anything about the Howard the Duck comics, he's very rated R. So it's kind of funny that they made jokes about him in this kids show. But you know, actually, the writers of Phineas and Ferb have always said that that Phineas and Ferb is a show written for adults that kids can watch, which I mean, in some areas yes, in some areas no, but yeah, I kind of believe that to an extent, if we're talking about solely the comedy, because the comedy is, you know, it's very much focused on acronyms and wordplay and dialogue and character exchanges, and kind of also making fun of the format of the show and how episodic it is and how repetitive it is. And so that's where a lot of the comedy of the show comes from, and that's not a lot of comedy kids would get. But some episodes are definitely more catered towards kids. There's no denying that, but I mean, it's a kid show, so that can happen. But you know, I do like this. I do like this episode. This episode, fine enough. I just think it's definitely one of the weakest episodes of Phineas and Ferb ever. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of meh with some really bad parts. Anyways, now you don't have to watch the end of the review because this is it. I'll give some updates on my reviews. If you can see it on my TV, I'm actually watching Scooby-Doo. I'm on disc 3 out of 4. I believe on an episode 24 out of 41. I'm going to watch through the entire disc tonight. and I will be finished with that tomorrow, probably, or Friday. But whenever I finish this, I will definitely upload a review of this series and the set itself, and be talking about that. But I'm almost done with it, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And then Ultraman here. Now, I did review Ultra Q, and I also reviewed the Netflix Ultraman series, at least the first season. I'm not sure if that show's getting a second season, but we'll see what goes on with that. So here's the episode guide here. I'm trying to go through it here. So I'm on episode 28 out of 39. Yeah, 28 out of 39. So I'm watching through that series too. So when I finish this disc of Scooby-Doo, the way I've been doing is one disc of Scooby-Doo, one disc of Ultraman. So, but I'll finish Ultraman probably last of Scooby-Doo. In fact, I have less episodes of Scooby-Doo because I have like less than 20 left, and so yeah. That's just what's going on. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that.